Hi, I'm Shannon, and I'm an occupational therapist at Perkins School for the Blind. And our webcast today is focusing on mealtime skills. We chose to do a webcast including mealtime skills because they're skills that we use so frequently. Many people eat 3 times a day, and there's many opportunities at home, at school, in the community for meal times to take place and for students to be learning. Mealtime skills are also an important part of the expanded core curriculum. The expanded core curriculum is the information or skills that are required for students who are blind or visually impaired so that they can be successful in addition to the typical education curriculum. These skills can be things like daily living skills, taking care of themselves, taking care of their homes, learning to get out and about in the community, in addition to things like just the basics of taking care of yourself, washing your hands, and eating meals. Blind children don't have the benefit of the incidental learning that sighted children have. When they're sitting around at the dinner table, sighted kids can watch their parents or their friends and see how they're eating and how they're using utensils. And we see little kids imitate their parents by trying to pick up and use utensils in a skilled way. And this is very important for their learning. Children who are blind don't have this opportunity to just casually observe and learn, so that these opportunities need to be presented to them in a very systematic and structured way, so that the students have the opportunity to practice these special techniques so that they can be as successful as their sighted peers. This webcast also offers a great opportunity for us to use visual demonstration for these skills. Sometimes it's hard for us to convey this information written in book form or in emails or phone calls to other schools or families. And we have this great opportunity to show a video demonstration of the skills so that they can hopefully make more sense. We are going to demonstrate a few different skill areas: pouring, serving, using utensils, and cutting. And we're going to show a few different techniques for each of those skills, and then a few adaptations for students who are on different levels of learning. I just want to emphasize that there is no one right way to cut foods or to pour a drink for someone who's blind or visually impaired. It's just really whatever works for the student. I think that the students often come to us with their own little techniques that they've made up that's worked for them, and we like to go with that, and we can learn from them. This webcast is part of a series on daily and independent living skills, and also is paired with a publication on the same topic. Meal times are a very important time for all of us. We eat so many times a day, and meal times are often paired with social experiences. We have meals with our friends in school, or go out to restaurants, out for dinner. There's a lot of family holidays that are focused around food, things like even weddings and other parties. A lot of times are focused around meal times, and so having good social skills, good mealtime skills, are important for that social experience. Also, when kids are in school, the lunchtime is a very, very important time for that social interaction, and it's really easy to be isolated if you're perceived as a person that doesn't have good mealtime skills. So really, it's really doing a favor to the students to help them work on those skills. There are many, many skill areas involved at meal times, and today we're just going to focus on pouring, serving, utensil use, and cutting. But there's also other skills, as I mentioned, social skills, having conversations, good manners at meals, and even spatial skills or math. There's just lots and lots of opportunities for learning. I think it's important when you're teaching, or even when you're not teaching children, when you're at a meal with a child with a visual impairment, it's important that they're involved and have some opportunity for the observation, the exposure to these skills. And having the chance to observe these adapted techniques, even if you're not actively teaching at the time, is important for the students to gain some exposure. So if, for example, you're pouring a drink, the way a sighted person would pour a drink is very different than the way a visually impaired person would pour a drink. So demonstrating that the adapted technique that the child may use later in life it would be beneficial for them. It's important too to set up the environment so it's helpful for learning. Organization is very important, especially for children who are totally blind, to be able to have a predictable environment, one that they can know what to expect and know where to find things, can make meal times go much smoother. So if you always have the fork on the left and your spoon and knife on the right, to try to keep the setup that way so the students know where to find the utensils when they're struggling to learn. Also, just having a clear pathway, maybe from the table to the kitchen, will be sort of invite the student to go back and forth from the kitchen and maybe be more involved in the meal times, or help to clear the table after dinner. Even simple things like pushing in the chairs after the meal too can help with the safety around meal times. If you're taking your dirty plate and a knife to the kitchen, it would be good not to have chairs around to trip over. And just lastly, the involvement again is very important, I think, for the children who are blind, so that they don't just develop the sense that when they get placed at a table at a meal, that food doesn't just arrive in front of them and for their benefit just to eat, and then the dirty things disappear and they have no idea of where it goes. So it's important that even if you're just explaining to the student your child as you go along through making dinner or making lunch in a group at school, to be able to explain to the student what's going on and to have them just be participating even at the littlest level, to keep them involved.